Okay, Commissioner Cable.
Swear. Yes, we talked about this in the budget committee. We asked Mr. Arnold, who told him to order it. He could not remember. I'm like Commissioner Deal. We're not blaming anybody. We know that the procedures wasn't followed. And Director Watson said that they didn't know what the procedure was. Somebody needs to let them know what the procedures are. And Mr. Arnold didn't have a document telling him to order it. He just was told by somebody, which you don't remember who, that it passed ARP and it was going to be bought by ARP. That being said, I have a question for Mr. Arnold. Can you finance this ambulance that's ready for you to pick up? And if you can, then agree with Dr. Acuff, and that some way, if it was the county's fault or it wasn't the county's fault, that we need to maybe sometime in the next year or two to help pay for that piece of equipment that's sitting there and not wait another year to get the ambulance ready. That's my.
Can I ask the mayor, did we talk about that in 21? I mean,
I think it was.
Somebody had to tell me.
And as Dr. Acuff remembers, financial management was tasked with approving health and welfare was tasked with approving the list. It came through health and welfare. Health and welfare was my recollection. On there, it made it to financial management with it on there. And then at that point, I'm not sure, and I can't remember how or what happened, if it got pulled off during financial management. But my recollection was we approved it in financial management to go on the budget.
maybe that's,
And
I don't know.
that was where the last I seen it at.
That was that specialized ambulance, correct?
Yeah.
That's a,
Yeah. That was their health and welfare.
Very accurate.
We were asked to come up with ARP. Dr. Acuff, I'm not sure if you remember that. We were asked with that. The ambulance was rated fairly high in that list.
I think it was second on the list at that point.
Madam Chair, as of 6/22/2022, the final ranking that went to financial management had Carter County EMS ambulance on their item number 2. So they were very high on the list.
I think I might have talked to you, Dr. As many discussions we've had among different people. I told Julie this morning on the phone, I was going by Frazier when he said, what if we could get it and finance it out 4 years? Well, I checked with the one I've got at the office down with Carter County Bank. It's only got $20,000 done. And I think I could get it on, for it through there and then pay it like you was talking about. I don't remember exactly how you put it, but.
Yeah, if you'll permit me, Madam Chair, from the financials that you had submitted for the upcoming year, there were 4 ambulances listed in there that we could tell. It was 4 ambulances listed in there. So if one of those is about to fall off, and we've approved your budget with an increase for the upcoming fiscal year, the funding would be there to carry on and use for that one and use for that ambulance instead. Because there was 4, like I said, there was 4 listed in there. I think Mr. Johnson has a copy that showed it in there, but
That's the ones we have under Carter County Bank.
Yeah.
Okay. I could do that, but.
and so if you're doing those out on like a 5-year, if you're doing those out on 5 years to pay off, then you would essentially be able to get 1 new ambulance every year at that funding level that we're providing. Just as those roll off, new ones roll in.
The actual increase we requested was to pay for total of 4 more people to staff ambulances. It wasn't actually
Not
any
bad.
extra to go toward buying ambulances.
Madam Chair, I think there's a little confusion here. The budget going forward and the contract that we approved with EMS provides them with $777,000 and some change each year for 4 years. That budget does not have ambulances in it.
Well, it has the payments for the ambulances in it though.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, I'm gonna call a 10-minute recess. We'll take this back up after the recess. Thank you.
I thought you would have a recess. You just listen to me. It's like getting paid overtime.
I'm being sincere. Don't get used to
Sometimes.
If we're still on this topic.
Okay, let's get started.
When they need it faster than I can. It needs to be done better.
Always.
Okay. Lisa Childers has the floor first. You don't want it?
I don't even know what.
He said, we'll save money.
No, what, Donnie Cagle?
I just want to clarify something. I think they misunderstood what I said. I didn't blame finance in any way, situations going on here with the rescue squad. I just stated that they need to follow whatever written procedures they are when you order a piece of equipment that the county's going to pay for. I didn't blame finance for it. I don't think I had the word finance in my mouth. I might have, but I don't think I did. These two people said I didn't say finance. So anyway, I didn't blame finance. I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but I didn't. I just made the statement. You have to follow procedure. When you order a piece of equipment that the county is going to help pay for. Whatever that procedure is set forth to be. I didn't say it because I wasn't here. I'm just saying they should be procedures followed.
All right, I'll pause here, the floor is open. If nothing else is said, we'll be moving to the next item. I think so, Mr. Arnold. I think so. Thank you all. Okay, so that concludes the budget items. Is there another committee that wants to give a report of any kind this evening? Okay, then it's time for the county attorney report.
You had to.
Hey. I said, hey, say a dang word.
Commissioner, be on the audit.
July.
Constables are July, Donnie. We were trying to get this done by the end of June.
Has to be tonight.
Both candidates here. I was under the impression it was July.
Commissioners for the audit committee,
What?
the two commissioners that were being appointed for the audit committee.
Oh, I thought you were talking about something. Somebody had, I had,
We'll get back to you, attorney.
anyway. Yes, on the nominating committee, we did not meet this past week. There was an issue come up with the audit committee, and I was on the audit committee. We had a meeting, there was only two showed up, myself and one other that is on the audit committee. We were asked by the state comptroller audit team to appoint two other commissioners to be on that committee temporarily until September. So we would have a full committee. We can meet, go over the audit, and fulfill our obligation by law that we have met before July 1st. We have chosen two, and we will have nominations for these two. Robert Acuff and Brad Johnson are the two commissioners that has agreed to sit on the committee until September. Do we have a nomination?
Who chose?
Excuse me?
Who chose? I'm sorry. Did you have a meeting? You said you didn't have a meeting? Said you didn't have a meeting, so how did you decide upon these two?
The audit committee, as far as I understand it, right, asked us to do that. Is that correct?
They said that that was an option, so we had two people that resigned from the audit committee, so we need at least 3 members. But they recommended that we could go ahead and appoint 2 commissioners so that we could go ahead and meet and fulfill our obligation for that. Otherwise, it will be written up on the audit as to not have that audit committee meeting, but we were not aware up until basically last week that we didn't have enough people for the committee because of the resignations.
So the audit committee came up with 2 names. Is that's just what I'm asking.
Yeah, I met with the 2 individuals that were currently on the committee. And I had spoken with the comptroller's office to make sure that would be allowable. It's only temporary, so it will only be through September. So then we will have nominations for other members at that time.
We will advertise and have opportunity for 2 members outside of the commission. Is that the way we should do that?
The members can be county commissioners, yes, this as long as they can't be county employees and have to be external to management essentially, but the county commissioners can fill those vacancies. And yeah, I wasn't aware 2 people had resigned, but I guess you don't even have enough people to meet. So yeah, typically that would be done in September. So to get you to September, if you have to meet, you're gonna have to appoint somebody.
Can I make a motion for Brad Johnson and Bob Acuff to be
Second.
placed on the audit committee?
Yes. Okay, let's give Gwen just a couple minutes to get it put in, but it will be Kelly Collins and Aaron Frazier on the motion and second. Yes, Acuff and Johnson to serve on the audit committee until new elections take place in September.
Seeing no other nominations, I move that nominations cease and we elect by acclamation.
Collins made the motion. Aaron Frazier second.
Yes. So, we can,
Yeah, I think technically you were just nominating the folks, and so Mr. Frazier's motion would be all that need to be voted on. You don't have to second the nominations.
okay. So for recording purposes, can Gwen leave it the way it is right now or no?
I can't see what she's got written.
Acuff and Johnson on audit committee.
Sure.
That's the short version.
Right, yeah, I mean, so I think that it was a nomination for Dr. Acuff and Commissioner Johnson to be placed on the audit committee temporarily until September. And then there didn't need to be a second really. And then Mr. Frazier's motion was to just elect those by acclamation since there were no other nominations. So however you need to parse that out on the.
Let Kelly be the first and I'll be the second, if that's okay with Ms. Collins.
Fine.
Okay, does anybody else have a question or discussion? Okay, whenever Gwen's ready, we'll vote.
till September.
Yes.
Sheep clothes.
I think so. It gives a little more information. Okay. It's ready to go.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. McIntyre,
Yes.
Yes.
The baby said it's not this time. Ready, yes. Okay, thank you, Chair Cable.
Thank you.
Any other committee chairs that would like to speak to address anything? Summaries, updates, anything? All right.
All right, I get to talk now?
Yes,
All
Josh,
right.
I'll take it away from you.
I think I talk loud enough that I don't need the microphone, but generally, as always, I'll include a written report that's in your minutes each month that summarizes all the work I've done throughout the month on general topics. And as always, if anybody's got a question, call and ask me. I'll give you anything I got or tell you anything that I can tell you that I know. And maybe some things I don't know, but I'll try. As far as litigation this month, as always, the litter violation cases continue. There's 2 more hearings, actually 3 more hearings set for, I think it's July 6th. There was another court appearance this past month for one that the chancellor gave a little more time, which is getting cleaned up. I had told you all a couple of months ago about a case, Cantolino versus Carter County. It was a subdivision plat issue, and that case has been dismissed. So that litigation is over. And like I said, anybody has any specific questions about anything, happy to answer it. Otherwise, I'll stand on the written report.
Mr. Cable, I have a request to speak from you. Is it concerning his report?
No, that was from last time, I think.
Okay. All right, if there's no questions, we're in commissioner comments. You may have anything? Hang on, Dr. Acuff, somebody has risen to speak, I believe.
Okay, talk to me.
Okay, Commissioner Clark. Commissioner Clausen.
First of all, before I state the main reason of being up here, let me say that I was proud to say that I worked with this gang of commissioners last Monday night. For those, we got a lot of messages from those who couldn't attend. We had 10 attend and 6 of us got the opportunity to speak. Another reason I'm proud of this bunch, I've been in on either watching online or in person for every budget meeting with the exception of one. You know, while it hadn't all been rainbows and roses, they got through it. It could have went, I was expecting a whole lot worse than what I witnessed. So I thank each of you for what you've done. You've done a fine job. I'm glad it didn't fall on me to do. But this is something I would rather not do, that I would rather sit here calmly and let someone else take the reins and run with it. Unfortunately, I'm not the type of person that can just watch something that needs to be said and leave it unsaid. I can't do that. Let me say to Josh, before I begin this little talk, I realize that what I'm going to be covering is 100% legal in the eyes of the law and the codes. But I'm not here to talk about what's legal. I'm here to talk about what's right and what's wrong. This concerns Dr. Stephen Vest and Dr. Gail Vest, who are both members of our district in Hampton, myself, Commissioner Cable, Commissioner Clausen. On 5/14 at 10:25 PM, there was an email sent out to 5 individuals from both the doctor's vests, myself, Jason, Donnie, Angie, and Mayor Wood. Just a short time later, on Monday, May the 15th at 9:10 a.m. in the morning, imagine our surprise when we get a reply from Dr. Al Levine, or not doctor, I don't want to give him that kind of credibility, Mr. Al Levine, who was not included in the first set of emails. And I understand, again, like I said, I understand that's 100% legal. It's public domain, what goes through our servers. I get that. I've had some conversations, had a lengthy conversation today, as a matter of fact, with Mr. Vest, and he was concerned about how this could possibly happen. And those times and those numbers, I think you all may have all received those in an email at a point this week. Now, this was something I was just kind of nodding off as it being something that may have happened. I don't know why it happened. Don't agree with why it happened, but I didn't want to stir anything up. Don't sound like me, my wife said. So when we were at the COPA meeting the other night, another email was brought to my attention. This was by A.W. Hankowitz. That was sent on Friday, 6/19 at 12:59 PM to all of us. We all should have received that email. If you haven't seen it, go back and look for it. It's in your folder. At Monday, 6/12 at 10:13 a.m., we received a reply, lack of a better term, from a Mr. Goetz had forwarded to 2 doctors with Ballot Health. And those 2 doctors set about to tear Mr. Hankowitz, for all lack of a better term, a new one. Very disrespectful on their behalf. Commissioner Holdren had pointed out in an email to all of us that she was curious how they received the email since they were not tagged. I'm not up here to point fingers. I just think it's something that I don't believe it should have happened. I would like to think our citizens in this district, in my district, in this county should be able to trust when they send an email that it's going to be held in confidence. I realize that that's not the legal case, but it should be the moral case. It should be something that we all stand for. Thank you.
Dr. Acuff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just echo the comments that Commissioner Smith made, the first part of that. I too was very proud at the COPA meeting and to be present, even though I didn't get to speak. Many of our commissioners who did speak and who were there did an admirable job. And I sent many of them a text following and congratulated them on their the way that they prepared, the subject that they covered, and I was more proud of this commission and those commissioners than I ever have been. They stood up for the constituents in this county, and they were supported by those of us like Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Gwynn, myself, and Commissioner Collins, who we didn't get to speak, but the ones that did an admirable job. And to comment lastly on your response to what Commissioner Smith just said from Mr. Getz, I think you were right on target. You asked some pointed questions, and you asked for information that he didn't provide or has not provided to date on the research to provide substance to what was received by the 2 physicians at Ballot Health. So, Madam Chair, I thank you for that.
Commissioner Cagle.
I too am very proud of this commission. I was there, I spoke. Many people that were there, especially one lady from Hawkins County, she made a comment to me that stuck with me. She said, I wish Hawkins County's commissioners could have been like Carter County. That means a lot, coming from a citizen of Hawkins County. I agree with Jason and Todd. When I send an email to someone, it's to them and nobody else, or I might send one to Todd and Jason. I don't want that email to go to everybody. It's between me and who I'm sending that email. And it should be. And I'm sure the doctors that sent those emails would feel the same way. They sent them to individuals. Those individuals should have respected them and not to forward those to anyone else. And I know Josh's terminology, it's legal to do that. And I'm like Todd, it's a moral thing. Because I want my email to be read by that person I sent and not sent to anyone else. If they want to send it to someone else, they need to ask me and I will tell them. So I'm with the two commissioners from District 6 because two of the doctors was from District 6.
Okay, Mrs. Childers, you have the floor.
Thank you. I was one of those that was fortunate enough to be able to speak and was very proud to do it on behalf of the citizens of Carter County. I'm very proud to be a member of this commission and be a citizen in this county. And I do concur with what the other commissioners said. There are certain things that are sent to you, of course, that can be shared. And then there's things the citizens trust us and they send us things, but they don't appreciate getting responses from people that don't have a dog in the race with their comments. So I just want to concur with what the other commissioners have said. Thank you.
And you have
Well, for one, I really appreciate the ones that did go and support. And it honestly didn't only speak volume for our county, but I think it did encourage some of the other surrounding ones sitting around us from Kingsport and other towns saying, maybe we need to work harder at getting out there and asking them, you know, our representatives to come and speak. For some people that were like, why even go? Our ICU is going to already be taken away. It's because it's the voice. ICU is not just it. There's a whole hospital that we still have to fight for to keep. But I do appreciate the ones that attended. As far as with the letter, I too was tagged in that letter. So it was myself and these three in your district and the mayor. I heard about this from the very moment that the first email come through. It was multiple emails from the doctor, and his wife is also a doctor. The point in that whole email that was most disturbing is the fact that even though they are retired, if you pay respect to them and you've never emailed them, you would not know that they're retired. And when you see all of the letters next to their name, they are quite qualified and in their physicians in a lot of different ways. They've also been on the board of hospitals. That when their letter was sent directly to the CEO of Ballad, what if they had applied or wanted to continue their, their career in Ballad? They were willing to speak for someone else. They were writing this letter, if you didn't get it or see it, it was warning us about Ballad. I've been on a board. I was in Virginia. All of this stuff started happening. These two citizens was warning us as commissioners and as a mayor. And instead of them getting a call back, it was actually addressed to the mayor. And then we were attached to it. But instead of them getting a call back with any questions being asked, or even a phone call or an email, the email was sent to the CEO of Ballad. Now, how did that make that citizen feel? We've talked numerous times. They've called me. I was planting a garden for the center one day when I was on the phone with that doctor. And luckily, he's handled it in a very peaceful way of saying, I hope this can be used as a lesson that when a citizen trusts you with information, unless you ask their permission, you don't go send it to the same company that's trying to rake us over the coals. That's just not right. I will have to point out, the thing that bothers me the most with everything that's happened is I sat in this very room in the May commission. When Ballard was here, Dwayne spoke, we all talked, and everyone was really passionate about our ICU. And I looked at our mayor and I asked her if she would be at the COPA to speak on behalf of our county. The very next day, in the Johnson City Press, she stated she was satisfied with the decision that Ballard made over our ICU. And no, she did not attend the COPA meeting. That is her prerogative. She's elected official. She can do it. But between the way the email was handled and this situation in a public meeting of her word, it has made me question the trust regarding about Ballard. So I'm very disappointed in that matter, but as far as the commissioners that stood beside, I'm very thankful for you.
Nancy Brown.
I too went to that meeting. I signed up to talk, but I didn't get to talk. I learned a lot. I'm thankful for each and every one of y'all that went to that meeting. I didn't realize that Ballard has as many issues going on as it does. I thought ours was bad, but I mean, when you've got nurses and doctors talking, it'll open your eyes. It'll put the fear in you. I mean, literally, I seen people heart sick. There was a woman there that literally her mom was in Holston Valley Hospital waiting to be transferred. But she was there to talk because she was that drove and to do that. And she really had the fear for her mama's life at that time. But I too, I'm like Angie. I don't know how anything could have been more important that night than to be at that COPA meeting. I feel like we should have went all of the, I know everybody's got things they got to do, but literally, this is our county. This is life's on the line. It's very important. And I mean, we need to know where we stand on this.
Danny Deal.
Yeah, I was proud to go down and be with that group of commissioners that was able to go, and the support from the ones that weren't able to go. I think it shows people as a group, the commission has their best interests. We're looking out for their best interests, and I think we went really well.
Before we adjourn, I'll have some words, but so I'm just telling you, don't ask to adjourn until I can speak. Does anybody else want to have the floor? Commissioner Frazier.
Okay, a couple things. One, I understand that you guys are frustrated about your emails and different things like that, but they're public. Someone can submit what's called Freedom of Information Act on your email, and they can pull every single email that you have sent or done from your county email address. They can receive full digital copy or whatever it is for anything that comes through there. So no, nothing that you receive is considered private or confidential. I understand it's frustrating, different things like that, but literally Ballard Health can pull an FOI on everybody else and get every single email that's been sent back and forth. So keep that in mind. Two, with regard to kind of hopefully helping assuage some concerns with regards to the ambulance. Ballard Health on June 8th did give a grant to the Carter County EMS for a new ambulance. So they are getting a new ambulance in the relatively near future in either respect. Hopefully they can work out something with Ballard to where this can go for the one that they already have. So they can get it into use much quicker. So, but that's neither here nor there. And lastly, this one is just from the budget committee. Please make sure that you attend the hearings and stuff that we're going to be having in the public hearings and the discussion in the workshop that we've got coming up for budget cycle. It's going to be, we have the potential, if I'm not mistaken, we still have the potential to actually hit the deadline for the first time in county history this year. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, but we'll see what happens once we get there. So I appreciate your guys' support. As far as the COPA meeting goes, I was sick. I just got back from 7 or 8 days in Townsend, Tennessee, and I was still sick after being on antibiotics for about 14 days. So I didn't want to show up and make anybody else. But I appreciate you guys going down, making it be heard. Fortunately, I think the writing was literally on the wall whenever you went to the facility. It was a Ballot Health facility hosting the COPA meeting. So that didn't give you an indication of how things were going to go. I don't think anything else would. Ballot and healthcare in general, and at the current state that it is in this country, is a train wreck of failure and stupidity that we may never recover from. The only thing that we can do at this point is hold on and hope we get the bottom sooner rather than later.
Okay, before I let somebody speak a second time, is there anybody else that wants to speak? Willie Campbell.
I couldn't come to the meeting either, where I had the sinus infection and drained into my chest. Also was in bed, I couldn't get out. You know, and I didn't want to spread anything around to anybody else, but, you know, I was a pretty sick person. I couldn't get out. I appreciate the ones that did go and represent us. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I didn't get any of these emails. I didn't know this whole email discussion was going to happen. But just to clarify a little bit, the Freedom of Information Act actually has no application to county government records. That's only a federal thing. So the Tennessee Public Records Act applies, has to be requested by a Tennessee citizen. Some things can be confidential, such as attorney-client conversations on the email. There could be some other stuff like security sensitive stuff with the sheriff's office folks. But for the most part, everything is true that your emails are pretty much open to public record requests. And the only thing that could be redacted or that can be redacted is certain confidential information, social security numbers, birthdays, stuff like that. And back when we had this opioid litigation and discovery, that was done at an exhaustive level over everybody's email for thousands and thousands of emails. So just be mindful of that. And you can't just use your private email and think that that's not covered too, because you could actually have to produce all of your private emails, and then someone would have to go through and weed out all the personal stuff before giving it to somebody who requested. So the best, most, I guess, conservative course of action is to use your county assigned emails and don't put anything in there that you don't want everybody else to read. Just my advice.
Thank you, Attorney. Okay, talk to me.
First of all, I think I pretty much covered what Commissioner Frazier said before I ever began speaking, that I was aware of what the law was. I knew that it was public record. And then stated that I knew that there was nothing illegal about it. That being legal and being moral are two different issues. Secondly, on the ambulance at the hospital. That's great. We ought to take advantage of it. Who's going to staff that ambulance? Anybody know? Anybody?
What'd you say?
Who's going to staff the ambulance at the hospital?
Well, I think if you remember back in their budget presentation to us, on the $777,000 annual 4-year contract. At the next to last page, it identified their objective was for a new ambulance and for new 4-person staff for a new crew. That may be, I don't know if it is or not.
If it is, great. That answers the question.
I just know that it was in there, what we had to look at.
I think they're like, hopefully 10 new people have gone back to school or home or whatever. So they're hopefully that those 10 will stay in our county.
The new EMT class.
Once they graduate.
I was told by Director Arnold that it would be them.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now, I want to say that I have attended most of the budget meetings, not all, and just attending most of them has worn me out. So I would like to give a round of applause to our budget committee and finance department for the work that they've done. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
As she has been outstanding, so is Mr. Perry. Everybody in that office has literally broken their backs and worked ridiculous amounts of overtime to get us where we are.
It is noted and appreciated. Thank you all. I just want to remind all commissioners that were elected in 2018 or after that you have continuing education to do. If you haven't already done that for this year, please take care of it as soon as possible. If you do not do it, it's not a secret. It is published on a Tennessee State website. It will show your name and that you did not complete it. It will also be on next year's audit report. It'll list you by name. And it'll show, like, if you were supposed to have 28 hours and you have 17, it'll say 17 out of 28. So it's very specific. It's embarrassing when you show up there. And as I've already told you all, I showed up there. It was a mistake, but I couldn't get it corrected on the audit. The only thing you can do is get it corrected on the state website. The audit finding sticks. So please take care of that. If you do not know how, reach out to me by any method and I will get you set up with the right people that can walk you through the process and get all your hours free. If you were elected before 2018, it's not your issue. Then I just want to make sure everybody's looked over the schedule that was in your packet for July. We need to talk about the 4th of July. And Gwen said she knew we weren't gonna be here on the 4th of July, but she put those in there as a reminder that we needed to talk about them tonight. So, Chairman Johnson, financial management, is it on the 11th?
It is on the 11th, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if everybody will change that one, financial management will not be on July the 4th, it will be on July 11th at 8:30. And it's gonna be in the main courtroom, that's what it says, but it's gonna be in the mayor's conference room, right?
Right.
Okay. And then we need to know what health and welfare and that group of committees is going to choose to do about their July 4th meeting. Some of you chairs speak up with a suggestion right now. Thomas Buffett.
Can we go to the 6th? On health and welfare.
Okay. So,
6.
Lisa, can you do the 6th?
Yes.
I can, I mean, if they can proceed, but I can't do the 6th.
Dana, do you have a suggestion on a different day?
After that week, I'm open for whatever's available. That's fine.
13th?
13th will be fine.
Is the 13th okay with Nick? Lisa?
Yes.
Daniel? Thomas? 13th? Okay, I'm checking with the chairs. So is the 13th a problem for several of you that are on those 4 standing committees? Because we want to make sure that we have a quorum. Okay, so let's move that group of standing committees to July the 13th at 6 p.m. in this room.
Make sure they get any action on, you know, the agenda would come out at the latest the next day for the county committee. 13th, you know, the commission meeting's on 15th. But if they wanted to get any action items on the agenda, we need that.
Okay, if y'all aren't hearing what he's saying, if your committee takes any actions that have to come before this full commission, chairs, you absolutely have to get it in that night or first thing the next morning to make the agenda, to make it legal. All right. Any other comments or questions on the schedule before we move to a different topic?
There'll be no education meeting in July.
All right, but that's just education. That doesn't apply to highway and landfill. Anybody else on the schedule? Yes, Aaron.
Madam Chair, just as to be safe, budget will probably reserve the July 6th meeting as a potential workday or full meeting in case something goes sideways with the full budget.
So you want to make it a regular voting meeting, right?
Yeah, but just tentatively, we don't have to publish it as of yet. I'm just stating in case something goes sideways at the end of the month.
Okay, Attorney Harden, is it better in some ways for us to go ahead and advertise it and cancel it?
Definitely, since you're advertising all the other meetings, just put it on there, certainly can cancel it.
For a workshop or a budget meeting?
Full meeting. We would need to have voting, we would need to have voting ability on that night.
Well,
6 o'clock.
Okay, so now we've made a total of 3 changes, well, 4 if you count Kelly's announcement. Anything else on the schedule?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
you may be gonna bring it up, but I'm gonna hit off. There are 3 meetings we scheduled. The next one coming up is the Commissioners' Workshop on the budget. That's on the 22nd. Is that correct?
Yes.
That needs to be noted by everybody because of its importance.
Yes.
The workshop. And then on the 29th, if it is the will of the chair, will be special call for the vote for our budget.
It's the 30th.
30th.
It's in the 30th, yes.
Be on the 30th. So everybody needs to mark it out because that's also on a Friday. You're not accustomed to that, but us older folks.
If anybody to get cussed, it's me, it's not Brad this time. This time only, however.
Okay.
We didn't
30th
have
is our-
choices of days, so.
30th is our absolute deadline. We're getting, the finance director is getting everything published and ready to go in the newspapers. It has to be published for 10 days. So it will go and be published prior to the meeting on the 30th. We will have a public hearing. We will have a public hearing, which the public will be notified and able to come here and speak to us regarding the budget as it stands. And then following that, we will proceed into final motions and approval or disapproval of the budget. And then if it fails at that point, then we have to come back on the 6th and punt. So.
But hopefully we've done enough homework that you guys can safely feel okay with what we've done.
May I say also, Chair, that it's extremely important that you know that on the 29th, when we have on the 30th, when we have the final vote on the budget, that the public will be here at 5 that afternoon.
Correct. The public hearing starts at 5.
The time was not announced in here, but it's an hour before we go into full session. And I do actually like, of course, you're elected yourself, but I would recommend you'd be here for the public. That's nothing to give them a time to come and voice their opinion, yay, nay, good, bad, different, or in ugly. But to have you not sit in your seat, you're not going to be a very nice person. And then the importance of the workshop. And the reason why it's only been conducted 2 previous budget periods from here, and it was discovered that during the workshop, it's open to the commissioners, the 24 sitting here, for asking questions, explanations, everything about this budget to where when you come in on the final to vote on it, you're not here at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning asking the same thing. That you basically have the answers that will be directed to you either by the chair of our budget committee or by our finance director. Okay, so keep that in mind. Everybody will be furnished all the documents that we went through during the budget process.
Who's furnishing pieces?
Well, if I do, I will. You only get 1/5 of a piece.
Attorney Harden, if you would, explain what we can and can't do during a workshop.
Well, typically, obviously, there's no votes that can be had at the workshop. It's not advertised as a voting meeting, so to speak. So essentially, you're limited to just question and answers. You're not supposed to deliberate for decisions that you're going to make at a later time when you would vote at the meeting. So it's basically just asking questions to get clarification about what is proposed in the budget and why it was proposed or why it was included or not included. So you can fully, openly debate, deliberate on that at the voting commission meeting on the 30th.
Okay. So June 22nd and June 30th, please be here, and on the 30th about 5. Does anybody else have anything for us? Okay, now the floor's open.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made by Eric Frazier. Second by Danny Deal on the screen. All in favor?
Aye.
See ya.
Pass by.